Hello, welcome to my video, and I made this video to showcase my environment project that I'm doing for my final year university project. And this video is gonna be talking about the plans and what I've made so far, and to sort of document the process overall. So this is what I got so far. I reached the first milestone, which are the roads, and yeah, I spent quite a lot of time modeling all the roads, and I was thinking I might have been able to do it procedurally, and yeah, that could have saved me a lot of time, but I just wanted to have this more random, more organic layout than blocky roads that you see on procedurally generated cities. So as you can see, it's got nice elevations and curved roads, and everywhere has its different decals. So right now I'm driving on the city center. These are just temporary proxy geometry, so yeah, those are just for scale reference really. So ignore lack of details on the side. I still have to do the landscape and the pavement, but you can probably get a rough idea of what I'm trying to do here. So I'm gonna enter the highway, and yeah, this highway cuts through the city, and here is an interchange which leads to different directions, and this highway kind of orbits around the city center. And if you drive this way, it's gonna lead us to the west. If you keep going this way, there is a industrial estate on the right, and here's another highway exit. And if you keep going, you can already see there's a small town. Which we can enter by taking the exit over there. Oh, let me flip the car. Just have to be really careful not to fall, since I haven't made anything on the ground yet. So yeah, here's a quick tour of the town. Fairly simple. Okay, this is gonna lead me back to the highway. And as you can see, there's some color variations on the roads as well. The transition is not as smooth, but I guess it also happens in real life, so yeah. But I'm gonna try to make it more seamless by putting some grunge textures or doing some vertex painting. So the main reference for the roads were American roads, and American roads, they tend to have bright colors, so I made the color of the road quite bright especially for the highways. And as you can see, there are some imperfections on the roads. There's some wear-offs. And here's another exit which leads to the suburban area of the city right there. Let me just take this route. And yeah, there are also some nice elevations here. Okay, we're back to the city center. And we drove about 9.7 kilometers so far. And yeah, let me take the interchange over there. So you can either enter the highway or you can take another road that leads to the town I showed you earlier. And yep, it kind of goes under the city, so there's gonna be bridges running over. You can't really see it because it's not double-sided. But you can kind of see the shadow over there. So this is where the bridge is. And here is another intersection. I'm just gonna take the left one to go west, which leads to another intersection here. And the one on the right leads to the port, and one on the left leads to the airport. Let's take the airport one. And that building right there should be the airport terminal. And we actually see a nice skyline of the city as we drive down the road, which I really like. Okay, here's another intersection. Let me just show you how it's laid out. So let's go reverse, and if you take this exit, it's gonna lead to the airport terminal. And the road merges with the opposite direction, so it eventually becomes a one-way road. And the 2 lanes on the right leads to arrival, and the upper deck leads to departure level. So I'm gonna make an airport terminal, some taxi stops, things like that. And again, it merges, and you can return to the highway. And we can kind of see the runway over there. It's not finished yet. but that's where the runway is. So if we take the left, it's gonna be heading west again, so let's keep going this way. And there is another small seaside town on the left. Which I'm gonna give you another tour. And take this exit. As you can see, I kind of reused the same module all over the place, but they're slightly different. So yeah, that's how I could make this large road network alone by using modules. But it still took me a lot of time merging them all together, like intersections like this, and some of the road markings are probably wrong as well. There's no right turn, I have to fix that. Anyways, there's nothing that special about this town. Probably I'm gonna make a port, small port, or a beach, maybe. Anyways, let me go back to the highway. And in case you haven't noticed, I also made a little mini-map on the top left corner. It's fairly simple, but it actually works. So yeah. If we keep going this way, we're gonna see another city. It's not as big as the first city I showed you. But it's gonna be the second biggest city on this island. It's got a very generic grid style road network, which is very common in America. And it's got some very generic skyline as well. And I did a slightly different layout for the interchange here. So it's got large avenue. I'm gonna put some trees in the middle of the road here. And yeah, very simple layout here. And this is gonna be the residential area of the city, and here we should have a large bay area. So that line is supposed to be a bridge, but I haven't made it yet. So let me go back to the highway and cross the bridge. So if I go this way, and probably this is still where the bridge starts, and I haven't made it yet, we can still drive on the road. So I'm gonna have a large suspension bridge here, and there's another city right there which kind of resembles San Francisco. So here we can take another exit, and yeah, another city roads. The buildings are blocking the roads a little bit, but yeah. Got some nice curvy roads. As well as some straight roads as well. Just simple roads. So I haven't made the bottom of the bridge yet. I'm eventually going to kind of blend it with the landscape, so I don't necessarily have to model everything. Here's another bridge. Okay, let me go back. And we can take a right. And this intersection has a slightly different layout, so if you take a right, it actually leads to the left. And this road is supposed to lead to another airport I made on the coastal area. But there's nothing here yet. So this is where the runway should be. And I have a small roundabout here. And another city center. And this road leads me back to the first city. Which I can see from here, but you won't be able to see it when I finish this project because I'm gonna put some hills and mountains over there. this area I'm probably gonna make it a farmland or something. And on the left we should see the ocean. So I think that is pretty much it for the roads. I think I've shown you all the major roads in this environment, and the next challenge is to blend the road with the landscape and the urban structures around it. And yeah, I still got a lot of work to do, but I'm glad how the road actually turned out. When I first got started, I had no idea how to do those decals without losing any textile density, but I figured it out and it works fine. I got no performance issue, and yeah, I'm still working on the texture, so it's gonna be better when I finish it. So yeah, let's end the tour here. So I'm just gonna show you a quick process of the production. So I first started out by generating some random land shapes in Photoshop. I think I did it by applying some filters to the noise texture, and yeah, this is what I came up with. I drew some roads and buildings on top of it and thought about what might be on the island and thinking about the road network and some interesting structures like airports and the ports, and I made a block out based on that. So it's got all the essential informations like the buildings and the roads and the landscape. And I started modeling some finalized assets, so I brought in my block out model and kind of gave it some transparency so I can see through, and started modeling the roads like so. And yeah, it was done by using different modules, as you can see, all those different road modules combined together to create this complex network. And yeah, if you take a look at the topology, some areas are fine, but I didn't really put a lot of attention on the intersections actually, mainly because it's not gonna be deformed, and when you import it to the game engine it's gonna be triangulated anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I have n-gons for areas like this. So yeah, it turned out mostly fine. In terms of textures, I used virtual textures for the decals like this, and it's all geometry based, so yeah, each geometry has an individual UV shell, so that's how it's done without losing any textile density. So similar shells are all stacked together and kind of laid out like so. Yeah, some areas are really messy, but I'm not going to be baking any light maps, so that's fine. And for the areas like this, I used triplanar map or word aligned texture in Unreal Engine 5, which worked out well, but it's not as good. I'm still trying to find out how to put tiles and some more grunge details like that. So this is what it actually looks like in Engine, and yeah, I brought them all together and made a master material and several instances to make this kind of color variation. And yeah, they have different roughness values depending on what kind of masks they have. So they have masks for decals and the roughness and some damages on the roads like this. And let me hide the buildings. And yeah, it's not as seamless, but after doing a couple of hours of testing, it turned out fine when it comes to the gameplay. And there might be some mistakes, but it's been fine so far. So to show you the material structure, I have this decal atlas for the roads, and I'm using the UV stack method I showed you earlier, and it's all connected to the linear interpolate. It's a bit messy, but yeah, basically I'm using a bunch of word aligned textures, so it doesn't really matter if I have a messy UV, it always kind of blends in seamlessly. And also I did a little mini map. I extracted the road layout by rendering out this scene from the top and apply some filters, and yeah, basically this Scala parameter collection does all the work and eventually goes into the widget, and this is what the texture looks like. And there's nothing special in the widget blueprint, everything is done in material. Yeah, this one. So it's basically moving the texture and masking out depending on the player location. So yeah, this is what I worked on so far, and the next challenge is to make some urban structures and blending them seamlessly, as well as the landscape. I was thinking maybe I could use the landscape tool in Unreal Engine 5, but they're not as modifiable. I can't really remove some chunks if I wanted to, so I might as well do it in Maya manually and come up with some materials that I can paint on using vertex painting, for example. So yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like to see some updates on this project.